Okay, last class we finished off with how many teeth you have and the different types of teeth. You have about, let's see, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You have about 16 teeth on your top jaw, 16 on your bottom jaw. And I do want to highlight something for you rather quickly. I did not get to this yesterday. These teeth I'm highlighting in yellow. Those are your 12-year molars. They're also called your second molars, your second set. You do not have a baby tooth version of these. They grow in when you're probably in middle school. And then these are your wisdom teeth. They're also called your third molars. Some of you already said you've had yours removed. The reason you want to get it removed is that they become impacted. Let's say here's a 12-year molar. And then about 5 years later, you're in 11th grade, 10th grade. You have one of your third molars, your wisdom teeth, starting to grow out, and it's going this direction. It might crash right into your second molars. So you don't want that to happen. That can be painful. And so you're just going to have them removed. Your wisdom teeth are considered vestigial structures. You really don't need them. Our diet has changed over the thousands and thousands of years that humans have been around. Our diet doesn't really involve the need for 3 sets of molars. You'll do fine without them. Some people have all 4. Some people, I had people in another class had 5. That's like evolution in the wrong direction. Anyone in here born without them? You're a human evolution right there. Right now, as you talk, you have baby teeth in your face. Oh. Wow, you're a mutant. I'm missing all my wisdom teeth and my 12-year molar down to my bottom right. I don't have anything down there. It's just a family gene. All right, well, with that all being said, let's move on down to the pharynx. I really don't have a whole lot to share with you guys about this one. The pharynx is preceded by your mouth and preceded by the esophagus. Recall that it is shared by the respiratory system. Your pharynx has 3 parts. Can any of you tell me what parts of the pharynx are, or they do carry food? What parts of your pharynx have food? Oropharynx. Anything else? And the laryngopharynx. Nice. Great. And the last thing really is lined with stratified squamous epithelium. Dylan, can you go over to the light switch and turn off this light that's flickering in front of me? It's driving me crazy. The humming is bad enough over there. Just try one and see which one turns this off. Try the other one. Perfect. Let's do that. Thank you. It also has mucus producing glands. Okay. Now you've already done the pharynx. We talked about the pharynx a lot when we did the respiratory system. Now let's go into uncharted territory. Let's go to the esophagus. Your esophagus is approximately 10 inches long. When your esophagus has no food in it, it is collapsed. It is empty. It's basically caved in a manner of speaking. It's flattened. It is collapsed when there is no food. So I have a visual for you all, and if you're online, sorry you can't see this, but here's that model of the lungs again. I'm going to try to show all of you. I'll go by the room. Right now, if y'all look at me, this is your trachea. That's your windpipe. That's always open. Whether you're holding your breath or not, it is always open. It's held open by cartilage. But your esophagus is not held open by cartilage. It is made of smooth muscle. And so I'm going to try to get a pen here. I'll show you. This is your esophagus, where my pen is. See how it's flattened? Because it's empty. This is the esophagus. I'm going to show you what happens when you actually swallow food, how it holds the food. It basically hugs the food that you swallow, and it forces it down. Do you happen to recall the contractions that your esophagus makes? Nice, 7th period. Peristalsis is correct. So, the esophagus basically, this is my word, hugs food and pushes it towards the stomach via peristalsis. Good job. I'm glad you guys remember that. Peristalsis. You can also call it peristallic contractions. So I do have a few visuals for you. If you are watching this online, you couldn't see what I just showed you, I'll help you out. Let you guys get that jotted down. The last thing I do want to say is, what sphincter does the esophagus end in? It connects to the stomach via the gastro, which means stomach, esophageal, which means esophagus, / cardiac sphincter. Okay, so I'm going to show you, actually, let me let you catch up. I'm going to show you a few images of just how your esophagus hugs food. That's my word. It squeezes the food that you swallow and it pushes it down. And the other day, Tyler was upside down and he swallowed a cracker and went up to his stomach. That was just to prove to you that gravity does not force food into your stomach. Muscle contractions do. And so these muscle contractions are called peristallic contractions. And here is a few of those visuals for you. Here are peristallic contractions. You see that where these yellow or these blue arrows are, that's the peristalsis. It is pushing the food in the forward direction. This is the bolus, which is a wad of food and saliva. And the muscles that are surrounding the bolus are, for lack of a better word, hugging around the food just to make sure that it is contained and forced down. Eventually, your esophagus will have this wave-like contraction going all the way down your stomach. If I move over here, you can see another contraction forming. You have peristalsis here, and you have peristalsis up here. So it can happen at more than one time. It's kind of like a whip is cracking. When you crack a whip or you like crack a hose or a dog's leash, it goes, the movement goes all the way down the object. So here's the bolus being hugged and it's being forced down. But again, behind the bolus is where peristalsis happens. Okay, here's another visual for you. Right there, that's peristalsis. You get that, Melanie? Look up. There's peristalsis and it's pushing the bolus downward. So all of this is just basically hugging your bolus, and the waves of contractions are forcing it towards your stomach. No matter if you're upside down, right side up, or lying down, it's still going to push food to your stomach. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Oh, that was your quiz. Okay, what follows your esophagus? Ooh, actually, before I get to the stomach, I want to show you something really cool. This is a video. If you're watching at home, you have to watch this on your own because I can't really show YouTube videos on a lesson like this. So let's see if I can find where I put it. I want you to go to YouTube. And if you type in transnasal endoscopy, I want you to find this video. This woman is sitting in a chair. You got this doctor with the pea soup green shirt. What's going to happen is the doctor sticks this camera up this woman's nose. And does your nasal cavity connect to your stomach? Think about that. Yeah. And so you're going to actually go all the way down into her stomach. We're going to watch this. So I'm going to pause the recording. Watch that video at home. Okay, so we just finished watching the endoscopy of the esophagus and the stomach. It was a pretty cool video. We're now going to actually get to the stomach, and this will finish off today's class. We have about 9 minutes, so let's try to get as much of this done as we can. I don't think we'll finish the stomach today, so this will be to be continued into tomorrow. All right, your stomach is a pretty good sized organ. It's not the biggest, but it is a storage tank mostly. Oh, I have a great question for you all. Actually, I'll save it for intestines. I'll save it later. I will ask you this though. When you vomit, and you vomit up food or drink, where was that food or drink? Good. That was in your stomach. So that comes up. Whenever you hear the term gastro or gast, that means stomach in the medical circles. So a gastroenterologist, gastrointestinal, gastroesophageal, gastritis, all those things are referring to your stomach. Your stomach is capable of chemical and mechanical digestion. The chemical digestion is going to be of hydrochloric acid. Hydrochloric acid is a very powerful acid. It has a pH of about 2. That's really strong. And it can actually dissolve nails. And the hydrochloric acid activates pepsin, which was just on your quiz. That's the chemical aspect of it. And then the mechanical is your muscles of your stomach can actually churn. It churns up and kind of breaks down food a little more. If you've ever thrown up and your mouth burns and your throat burns, that's the hydrochloric acid. The reason why your stomach doesn't get burned is your stomach has a layer of mucus that protects it from the acid. You don't have that layer of mucus in your esophagus or your mouth, which is why it burns your mouth and your esophagus and not your stomach. I'm getting a little ahead of myself here, but I'll go ahead and tell you guys are doing great so far. Do you know what you call an area of your stomach where there might be no mucus and the acid is actually burned through? You don't know what that is? It begins with a U. An ulcer. It's an ulcer. I'll get to that later. All right, next. The mixture of food and gastric juices is called chyme, not chyme. Don't let me catch you saying that. It's called chyme. It's kind of like how the mixture of spit and food that you swallow is called a bolus. This mixture of food and gastric juices is called chyme, and this will eventually go to the small intestine. This enters the small intestine. That's not going to be discussed until tomorrow. If you, let's say that you had Subway right now and you throw up maybe 4 hours from now, that's right around the time where the food might be entering your stomach. If you were to throw up then, you're just going to have this nasty mix of gastric juices and food and whatever's left of that Subway sandwich. That's going to be chyme, not chyme, chyme. All right, let's continue with gross anatomy. This was a term that you were taught the first week of school. What does gross anatomy mean? Grace? It's anatomy that you can see without a microscope. You know, when Isabel was putting all those organs together, that was the gross anatomy of those organs. You can see the folds and the flesh and the tissue and the opening, the sphincters and all that stuff. Your stomach is found in the upper left quadrant of your abdominal cavity. The stomach is located in the upper left quadrant of the abdominal cavity. So if you were to hold your gut like in the vicinity of your belly button, your stomach is not there. So, oh man, my tummy hurts. That's not your tummy. That's your small intestine. Your stomach is right here, underneath your left chest, right there. It's still underneath your ribs. Your tummy, where you're like, oh, my tummy hurts. That's your intestines right here. The adult stomach, when empty, is approximately 6 to 10 inches long. So it's really not that big. And it's hard to evaluate the diameter of it because when it's full of food, it's obviously going to be really big. When it's empty, it's going to be really small. The interior of the stomach, this will probably be your last line of notes. I want to do a drawing with you guys. The interior of the stomach has large folds called, you remember what the name was? Rugae, R-U-G-A-E. You generally will not see these folds on a full stomach because the whole purpose of the rugae is to allow for greater surface area. When your stomach is full, these folds will stretch out and allow your stomach to increase and expand. Okay, whoops. We have just a few minutes left, about 2 minutes left, so we may not finish this drawing today, but I would like to at least get it started. I know that you all may not be the greatest drawers, but you'll do fine. Just follow my lead. I want us to try to draw a stomach, okay? So start here. Here's your esophagus. That's going to be the outer lining. There's the inner lining. I'll give you a moment to catch up. We'll just keep going until that bell rings. There are a few things I like to label for you. This, we'll have to stop there. To be continued.